Oh, isn't it lovely to see some nice weather? The riders, though, will not be thinking about looking up. They'll be looking down. Off several peaks along the way today. It's a 3 days of Japan. So 4 tests, 2 crammed into the final day, let's not forget, including a time trial and a sprint. And some extraordinarily testy climbs today. If you are not overly concerned about the classics and you're a sprinter, such as Marcel Kittel, then this is absolutely ideal as a bit of a run out. Well, more than that, because you've got some sterling opposition. Mark Cavendish sadly has withdrawn from the 3 days Japan, the Trois Dagues, with, unfortunately, gastroenteritis. Came very late on that call. Just a couple of hours ago, he was mediced out of it. Which leaves Hertz Stiegmans and Mark Renshaw as the quick men for them. But they do have Nicky Terpstra, who will be going for the overall, courtesy of his time trialling abilities. Don't count out Alexander Kristoff from Team Katusha either. We have some fantastic names here. Arnaud Demer, fast and furious, and a decent time trialist as well from Francis de Jeux. Cannondale, who else but Peter Sagan. So, although some of those who are thinking about the Tour of Flanders are not here, some are, like Terpstra, like Sagan. And indeed, they rolled out in beautiful sunshine today. Extraordinarily different from the Tour of Catalonia of late, which was shocking. Miss Belgium waved them off, and we waved at her, but she didn't wave back to us. Never mind. And we had some bumps, I'm afraid, in the rollout. So mine's not exactly focused, just a few meters after they rolled out, and we had that to deal with. So we're racing inland. We're heading to the Belgian Ardennes. It's the Dépend de Zottegem, and Zottegem today is will be rolling through, incidentally, Oudenaarde. Not exactly dwelling on the place, which of course is the finish for the Tour of Flanders, but we have that loop to do, and we do it twice. So it's going to hurt, and at the moment we are actually already engaged in the peaks therein, of which there are plenty. And some gradients of 13, 14%, that kind of thing. Some cobbles chucked in there just for good measure. We have the Leiberg, the Ladendries, the Hagenhoek. And then just to finish everybody off with 5.1 kilometres to go, the Clemenhausstraat peaking out just to punish everybody. These are our men in the breakaway. 6 riders. We have Bradley Potgieter from MTM Quebec. Jay Thompson as well, so 2 men in the black and gold of MTN. Yeah, he finished 19th in the points classification in the Tirreno Adriatico, did Jay Thompson. Not bad at all, and was 3rd in the Nationals on the road race and 2nd in the Nationals in the time trial. So he's a good man to have up here. That's his teammate, Bradley, 24 years of age, the South African who was just drifting by. That's number 205. Kevin Peters from quite an unfamiliar, I would say, jersey to you, perhaps. It's Golden Palace. There we are. Sounds like a Chinese team, but it is in fact Belgian, and indeed so is he. 27 years of age. 2nd on a stage in Hainan, though, so he's used to this kind of thing. And it was a pretty similar sort of day. Lumpy with a quickish finish, and that's what we're dealing with. More than lumps, really. It's going to be a real bind, I think. Topsport Vlaanderen just rolling to the front right now in P2 with that sort of white and blue with the odd little bit of gold in there. Stein Steels is here, 24 years of age. Was 3rd in the Haverpil last year, and that was a big announcement for him. I think probably tied down to a contract, could have well have gone elsewhere. And the Rund Köln as well, 6th in that, so some big names around him. Stein Steels, probably the biggest one might think of those who are in this breakaway. So Stein just coming to the back. 3M, just their jersey in the gold black with the big 3M written upon it. That's Tom De Vrijt. Yes, probably one of the those that you're going to have least difficulty finding out. That's Kevin Peters once again, just nearest to us. But there is our friend from 3M, 22 years of age. 3rd in the Omloop Het Westland, the Western event in this part of the world. Napolitano took that, so he was in good company, was De Vrijt, the friend. So we'll see how he rolls. These guys rolling very well indeed at the moment. I think there's one we haven't mentioned, which is Tim de Troyer. Pick him up in a second. That's Steels once more. 2nd on the stage of the Amissa Bongo, which is quite a testing event, as I'm sure you well know. Formerly of Accent Jobs. He's here as well as we look at J-Bob. Thompson once more. J-Bob's actually been up there a number of times, and Nationals in particular has always shone brightly. 3 minutes and 6 is the gap now. It was just over 4 minutes not so long ago, but 72 kilometres remain, and we're in the business end of the day. They're on a flattish sort of link section, but we're rolling through Zottegem, and as we do and come through town, you'll certainly know that they are looking reasonably exhausted, especially when they take the bell for the final time. There's the pack mobbed across the road, as you can see. It's gentle rolling countryside for much of the day, but as you get into the Ardennes, there's some real tests. And those little tiny groups of people who just love to repair the cobbles have been busy. Here we are, look at that, absolutely immaculate. This road's been here for around, what, 300 years? Looks immaculate. That's because there's little societies that get together. I think we're on the Hagenhoek, actually. We'll get confirmation from Brian Smith, who's sitting next to me in just a few moments. Societies come along and they make sure that these roads are absolutely immaculate. Instead of going and tending the allotment, they tend the road, which is fantastic. And the cobbles, created during hard labour. So if you were sentenced to hard labour, basically you were put in the granite chipping area. I think they call it a quarry, just remembered. And then the product of the prisoners was laid on the roads, and we're enjoying them today. It is indeed the Hagenhoek, and reasonably high up as well. And if you want pecking order, then Brian Smith is reasonably well up there. Brian, this day, and indeed this event, billed as the ultimate test, really. You've got climbing, you've got sprinting, you've got time trialling, you've got everything.
Yeah, you certainly have, and over the past few years we've had some great winners of here in the 3 days of De Panne. But interestingly, this morning it took 70 kilometres for this 6-man breakaway to go away, so there was a lot of pushing and shoving towards the front, and nobody really wanted a break to go away. We have got 10 World Tour teams in this 2-point HC race. Kind of second category race. The only race above this would be a World Tour race. 9 second division teams, Pro Continental, and 3 Continental teams. So it's really no surprise that we see so many of them in this 6-man break. It was in fact 5 riders that went away initially, but Tim de Troyer of the 1-2 team, he's in the blue towards the back. The rider actually is on the back, decided this is the break it's going to go, I want to be in it. We have got 3 sprints. They're all taking 3, 2 and 1 seconds, and as we know from the past that every second counts. Today is classed as a kind of mini tour of Flanders, so it's from the last about 90 kilometres in. We hit the first climb, and it's kind of climb up and down with some pavé sections which we're on at the moment, all the way towards the finish, 201 kilometres. So it gets busy towards the end with the climbs, and last year we had the stage 1, a small group sprint, and Peter Sagan won that stage. But tomorrow sprint, next morning sprint, and then the time trial, so a mixture of everything.
Certainly is. Omega Pharma Quick-Step without Mark Cavendish. Let's just talk about some of the big names who are here. Arnaud Demer and his Francis de Jure team in the blue, mobbing the front right now. They wanted to get to that. It's a very nasty turn. In the wet, it's absolutely shocking, and it looks like they've actually put a lick of tarmac over the cobbles that were on that turn originally. They immediately get onto the cobbles where it doesn't matter quite so much, I guess. And Francis de Jure looking after Demer. They've got Johan Le Bon as well, who's possibly going to be a man who you'll be thinking of deeper in to this race, particularly when we get to the time trials. And I think that is the crucial point. You have to be a decent time trialist, or it's a good saver, if you like. 2 minutes and 50, the pace really is on, and I think the frighteners have been put on courtesy of our friend from Wanty, who's gone up the road. He believes that might be the break to stick, and I think possibly Francis de Jure thought this is too much of a danger, let's go for it. You see a lot of riding going on in the gully. That's the rain gully, usually fills with earth during the winter, kind of gets washed into it, if you see what I mean. As they head up the Leiberg, another climb here, 13.8% is the maximum within it, 4.2 is the average. In fact, I think it averages about 6.8, but anyway, there you go. And it's Wanty that has a go. Oh, nice little attack and a swift move as well it was from Wanty Group Gobert. It's Tim Troyer who's gone for this.
Yeah, you just see the damage that's been done at the back of the peloton, and that's why a lot of the riders will push and shove to get themselves to the front and keep out of trouble. Because if you have any trouble here, looks like one of the wanted riders has got a puncture, and to get a change of that wheel, you'll have to wait for his team car to come up. And if you haven't got a good place in the convoy, he's going to have to wait quite a few seconds. And you know, that's the typical of racing here in Belgium, that if you have a minor problem like that, it could become major, and he's going to find it difficult to get back to the bunch.
Certainly will. Danger of going in the gully is that you can get a pinch puncture quite easily, because you see the little drop off from the cobbles here. You just drift to one side, and that's the result. Katusha suddenly hit the front. Thinking about Kristoff, the great Norwegian. We saw Lotto Belisol as well, also having some fun. Kenny de Haas, important that he does not get distance today. And you can see that the main issue, possibly within the pack, is going to be dust. Plenty of it being kicked up at the moment, and some huge names don't want to lose out, and we've suddenly got some real pace in here.
Well, it's all about pace and putting your rider in the correct position. Again, trouble for a lot of these riders. This is the back of the peloton, but at the front it's the team of Katusha, and the man in second place, a really experienced rider, Luca Paolini, the Italian, marshalling his troops and saying, look, now we want to put the pressure on, because we realise that we have got our best riders in the right place, and we want to take advantage of this part of the course.
Certainly do, and that's the moment that Tim de Troyer decided that he was going to roll the dice. 23 years of age, the man formerly of Accent Jobs, and probably wanted to prove something to them, but it looks like he's just spinning away at the moment, and has got a bit of a weight going on.
You've got to remember, Carlton, there are mountain points at the top of these climbs, so 13 today, so it did look as if Tim de Troyer wanted to gain as many points as possible. 23-year-old, he is second year at Pro Continental level, but pretty much everybody in that six-man group, as you see more and more punctures at the back of the peloton, everybody in this front group hasn't won a pro race except for Jay Thompson, who's got 2 wins. So there's only 2 wins of all the 6 riders in front, but this is what happens in Belgium. You get trouble, then you're going to get trouble to get back on.
Collie, in bother, you might well be seeing the Neri Sotoli team, especially if Francesco Kiki gets himself together as far as the sprints are concerned. Good old push, nice little attack, and they're all calling each other now for more assistance. They've done a decent job of testing everybody further back. And look how it's strung out. If you do get into trouble, there is a long queue of vehicles, and it's very difficult to overtake as well, because some of the narrower sections of the pavé in particular, the cars would have to, if they were going to move past, go onto the grass section. Indeed, riding those gullies does have its dangers, as we've already pointed out, and some have already been taken prisoner. Let that be a warning to absolutely everybody. There are time bonuses, incidentally, at the line today and tomorrow. 10, 6 and 4 seconds. And then on the first phase of the double day, which is Thursday, that's the sprint in the morning, and then we have the individual time trial. In the sprint in the morning, the 6, 4 and 2 available. So if you're best minded to go for it, you could pick up 26 seconds of cushion ahead of the individual time trial. Likewise, the time trialists themselves have got that ground to make up. Welcome back. Tim de Troyer did his job, and now he's got a 10-second gap on his co-breakers. Seemed to sit up and then decided to have another go. He's coming into the Langendries section. It is at 1275 metres above sea level. There's more. Mongel gets himself into bother. That's number 41. Picked himself up a puncture. Well, we said you've got to be careful if you go into the gullies, and plenty have. It gives you a smoother ride over the pavé, but unfortunately you have the danger of punctures. And yeah, it's kind of a roll of the dice. Oh, he's not alone either, and he is joined by Delage. Francis de Jeux in all kinds of bother then. Main man is Arnaud Demer. He's a big sprinter, but don't count out Johan Le Bon, as we mentioned. 2 minutes and 12 back from our leader as we speak. 63.5 kilometres to go, plenty of climbing. He's on one at the moment. This looks like one of the smoother pavé sections, some of which has mortar within it. Others leave a little bit of expansion space for the frosts that dog this part of the world. And if you're thinking, does it get cold? Yeah, they're out of the Gulf Stream. And in fact, a lot of the dikes and the like freeze over, and hence speed skating. Do a lot of that to get around, essentially. But Detroit now has 24 seconds, we're hearing, on the other 5 within the breakaway, and here is the pack. Francis de Gieux, little rueful shake of the head. They've lost 2 men just a few moments ago due to punctures, but they are so minded to stay safe. They're on the crown of the road. The easiest place to be on the crown of the road is dead centre, because if anyone gets into trouble in front of you here, Brian, there's a lot of avoiding action to be taken, and you better be quick.
Yep, it's one of these. Anybody that races in Belgium or have been racing in Belgium, they'll know that it's important to stay near the front, because anything can happen, and a lot of small roads and a lot of riders trying to move up. I mean, you move up in the kind of gravel sections or go off the kind of crown of the roads. That is when you start, getting punctures and some mechanicals. You can just see the Koksijde de Gieux team at the front here in the blue, and they're just kind of slowing things. No race radials at this level, 2 points HC. So obviously they know that a couple of their teammates are had trouble. So a bit of communication there, which is good. Because without that, they would find it really difficult to get back on. We see here, is it Sasha Madolo for Bardiani getting back onto the back of the peloton here, and so it was in fact
Madola's with Lamprey these days, but
sorry, I was getting mixed up there. Was it
it was a couple of the Bardiani guys relaying themselves back on. It was Colbrelli, was one of them. Thankfully, had a teammate with him. I think it might have been Canola, but somebody will correct me, I'm sure.
Colbrelli is one of the young, very exciting sprinters in that team, and hence that's why he got some help to get back on. But you can just see the back of the peloton. It's all bunched up. A spate of some punctures, some mechanicals there, but fortunately for Koksijde de Gieux, they have kind of slowed things at the front of the peloton and allowing everybody to come back.
A little bit of a slip. They catch everything in this part of the world, and if you do something embarrassing, you're going to be on TV. That was from Kiki's team. That was Andrea Del Col from Neri Sotoli. Out front, still Francis de Gieux. Omega Pharma Quickstep with a lot of ambitions here. They came with Mark Cavendish. Unfortunately, tummy bug for him, but they have got the mighty Nicky Terpstra, who's on stunning form at the moment. I wouldn't be surprised to see Nicky Terpstra go all the way and pick this one up as well. He's done so well. Dwadoras Vladeren took that, don't forget, ahead of Ferrar and Bozic, and then was run up to Sagan in Harelbeke. Sagan's also here, don't forget. And Omega Pharma without Chavanel, who of course jumped ship, and of course without Mark Cavendish as well, the quick man. So Nicky Terpstra really their main focus, and they've got some good quick men as well with Mark Renshaw and Geert Stiegmans also on board, so for some of the quick days. We have Sagan. It's it's not that we've left it so long to mention him, it's just quite simply that we are rack full of talent here. If you want another quick man, Marcel Kittel from Giant Shimano is here, but Tobias Ludvigsson, the big Swede, is probably the man for the GC for them. We have Andrea Gardini, who goes quickly as well for Astana. Arnaud Demer is on stunning form, as you may well know. Second in the Ghent-Wevelgem. With Johan Lebon, which is why Francis de Gieux are up there. Sasha Madolo we've mentioned, but Lamprey Marida, he's their principal challenge today. Alexander Kristoff of Norway, huge strongman, quick as well, and can time trial, let's not forget. And Orica Greenedge have been absolutely huge so far this season, and they have brought some huge men as well along with them. Svein Tuft, who's a fantastic time trialist, the Canadian. Michael Hepburn's here as well, likewise a good time trialist. Luke Durbridge is not a bad time trialist himself, and will be, I think, an abundance of riches for them to choose from. Plenty of other great names here, which we'll talk to you about after the break. Don't forget to spare us your thoughts on Twitter. Welcome back. London riders still finding punctures out there. They're coming thick and fast, and particularly for Neri Sotoli, who seem to be having most of the issues today. I think this might well be a mechanical alteration, taking on some water, some sustenance for the day. It is nice and warm, incidentally. We're talking about some of the favourites. Brian Smith, we've got the likes of Kenny van Hummel here as well for Tin, and one of your old chargers, Jan Barter for Team Nette Ventura. We may be missing Cavendish, and also, sadly, unfortunately, Greipel, who's, as we know, suffered a really disconnection, I think is the best way to say it, of the clavicle last week. But nonetheless, it's ram full of talent, this.
It certainly is, especially the flat men, the fast finishers. But obviously with a time trial at the end, just over 14 kilometres on that last day, a split stage, you have to think of the overall. And, you know, Barta is coming here to look for the overall. But then again, you have to be in that front group today. You have to obviously cross your fingers. Hopefully you don't get a puncture at the wrong time, and be in that kind of front group of possibly about 20 riders come the finish. Tomorrow looks like a group sprint. Last year it was won by Mark Cavendish, who isn't riding due to illness, pulled out at the last minute. And then the last day we've got a split stage where obviously the road stage in the morning, sprint finish, and that was won by Kritsov last year. I know obviously the time trial in the afternoon, but this is the big GCD. If you can get in that front group of maybe 20 or 30 when we come into the finish in Zottegem, then produce a very good time trial and look after yourself over the next kind of day and a half, then you could, you know, come out a winner. But looking at the start list we've got here, I think Orica Green Edge, as you've already mentioned, I've got plenty of kind of fast men. When it comes to a time trial, you mentioned Derbysh, Hepburn and Tuft, and also they've got obviously a couple of fast men in Krupis and Howard, but Howard wasn't in great form during the Volta a Catalunya. He obviously finished second in the first stage, but then he kind of lost the form slightly over the next sprint stages, and it was obviously Luka Miskits that took 3 stages there. So he got through it, and he's come here with only 1 day's rest. And a couple of people have come here from Catalonia, 1 day's rest straight into this, but luckily, you know, the rain in Barcelona at the end of Catalonia has turned out here in Belgium absolutely perfect. It's a great, you would think this was a summer's day here in Belgium today. Great racing, and you can see some of the flags at the side of the road. They aren't flying too well, as you see John Murphy just pointing to the commissaire, who will give the radio shout out to his team car, because it's always good to know that if it's a front or a back wheel, because most mechanics, if they don't know, run out with both wheels, and if they get that information to the car, the commissaire, they'll shout it out to the team car, and the mechanic's prepared with a back wheel to throw in, and it just makes it a lot quicker and easier, especially when you're racing here in Belgium, where again, an unfortunate puncture at the wrong time is you know, obviously going to give you a harder chase to get back to the peloton.
It's the American John Murphy who's busy pointing. His car's having great difficulty coming through. They'll be with him fairly shortly. I don't actually think it's a puncture, but we'll get a check on that in a moment.
He's bouncing.
Yeah, he's getting a decent pace, and finally, oh my goodness! Well, you see, and this is on a wide road as well. So he's picked a good place to make the change, if that's indeed what he needs, and it looks like it is. Goodness me. Thank you very much to all of you who have already spared us a thought on Twitter. We'll be coming to you in a little while. There's so much drama here within this race, though. It sits very nicely amongst what really is that golden time of year for many of those who love the classics here in the Low Countries. And spread over 3 days, really traditionally one that's, I say traditionally, it's reasonably new race since the 70s, but it really has, I think, accelerated and widened its sense of appeal. It is drawing in some of those who will be taking part in the classics, and Sagan and of course Nicky Terpstra already been involved, successfully so. More to come with Flanders beckoning at the weekend, but you know, they are here and prepared to take the risk, and good on them for doing so. Other GC guys like Kritsov and indeed like Tobias Ludvigsson, the Swede for Team Giant Shimano, are here, and the fast men here to entertain. Kittel has made it, he's stayed fit. Arnaud Demer likewise, Kittel having made it up to his bicycle, which he slammed into the ground recently, as I'm sure you've probably seen. If you want to spare us your thoughts, then please don't forget to tag Eurosport Cycling, as Keith has done, Jonas Silva as well, and the rest of you. Good to hear from you guys across the planet tuning in for this one, and I'm not surprised because it's a hell of a mix. with the climbing that we've had already today, naturally drawing out a breakaway, the battle by the peloton just to keep in touch with these guys and not give them too much of an advantage, and then of course more peaks, more sprinting, and of course an individual time trial. It's probably geared towards the quicker men, and in fact some of those GC guys like Nicky Terpstra, like Peter Sagan, who can also go swiftly, this is absolutely teed up for them, and they clearly don't mind riding it and having a go. Right now, with 54.9 to go, we are on the 10 Boss, known to many of you, but 8.7% is no laughing matter, even though that's a short, sharp punch to the solar plexus. The fact that you can get over this quickly, Brian, does not take away from the effort involved, especially the amount of climbs that we have to do here.
Yeah, 13 climbs in today's stage, and again, it's quite easy in the breakaway because you can choose, you know, which part of the road you use. And you know, Tim Destroyer here, he was the last person to join this 6-man breakaway. It looks as if he wants to take a jersey or get onto the podium and guarantee that for his wanted team, a Belgian second division team, by taking as many points as he can at the top of all these climbs. So 13 climbs today, but nice and easy enough for the guys in the front. But for the peloton, you really have to make efforts, constant efforts, to get good position. You can see some of the riders actually using the bike path. The UCI were trying to stop this, but again, the riders are still using the bike paths. It's just a safety issue. So I don't know when they're going to do anything about it, but they said that they were trying to stop all the riders from obviously using these bike paths, because some of the spectators have been involved with incidents with riders where they're jumping on and off the pavements and the bike paths. So we'll have to see, but again, it's the constant surge of speed before the climb to get position. Now you go up the climb, and it's constant throughout the last part of this stage today.
Well, that's this stretching and coming together, this sort of concertina effect, the squeeze as you come through some of the corners here, and then the narrow roads where some of the attacks are launched. You see that massing at the front. That is not the fact that the guys at the front are going slowly, it's because everyone else wants a piece of road position. And when that happens, when you're fighting for that sort of thing, you can run out of talent for some of them. And I guess when you get this great mix as well, we often hear complaints, particularly from some of the Swift men, that some of the guys further down the pecking order, if you like, within the world of cycling, who are here, some of the national teams, in fact, you find yourself with people that aren't really, when it comes to racecraft, at the top of their game. And you can get some nudges and you can get some accidents, which is why we have this. We've also got on the 10 Boss a modest attack here, and it doesn't look too bad either.
Yeah, we're looking at Pim Lichtart at the front here for Lotto Belisol, with Matt Heyman for Orica Green Edge, just catching one of the riders in the original breakaway from MTN. So this is a serious move. We're getting close to the 50 kilometres to go, and already the World Tour teams are springing into action on the 10 Boss.
Matt Heyman, just one of the armoury. I think this is probably their first shot from Orica Green Edge. They've got Lee Howard, don't forget, Michael Hepburn, Luke Durbridge, Sam Bewley, Jens Maurice, Svein Tuft as well. It is a huge, huge list of talent. Adis Kruopis as well for the sprint later on today. So this may be just part of Orica Green Edge softening everybody up, I reckon.
Yeah, that's what they're trying to do. It has been a fairly easy day for a lot of the riders. If you can stay racing in Belgium over 201 kilometres and 13 climbs is easy. But the World Tour teams don't want to make it easy for the rest. And no real reaction. You still see François de Jeux in the blue at the front of the peloton. Demar was, I think, second in the stage last year. He really wants to try and win this. He normally goes well at this time of year, but you know, a lot of riders using this as a kind of final preparation for the Ron van Vlaanderen coming up this weekend. But good move for Lotto Belisol and Orica Green Edge.
So Matt Heyman and Pim Lichtart going for this, and you can see as well a little roll round on the inside. I think it was in fact it was Vanguard Breen, one of the Lotto boys, also just I think possibly just hoping to get to the front and mark out anybody else who was thinking of going for this. Francis de Jeux have, in terms of management of the day, been the daddies so far, but you can't account for people who are going to go up the road, and that's exactly what's happened right now. You can hear the motorcycles struggling and chattering away, Sounds like the camera box is going all over the place as he tries to take the corners and stay away from these guys. There's a decent pace today despite the climbs. This looks like a Detroit is rolling backwards here into those who still remain from the break. Don't forget we've got a couple of intermediate riders who are trying to bridge over to them at the moment. Still 4 riders behind our Wanty man who's gone for it, Detroit. But I think he realises that he's going to need help, certainly from this sort of distance out. Brian, launch pads today, there are plenty of them. When do you expect a potential winning move to go?
Well, normally when we come through the finishing line for the second time and we go on to this lap again, it's just really a lot of the riders starting to get tired towards the end, and I would think that this time next lap is just going to be a case of wearing down the kind of opposition, and that's why we're starting to see some of the larger teams, the World Tour teams, Lotto Belisol and Orica Green Edge, start to go on the attack, getting close to 50 kilometres to go. For a lot of riders in the bunch, it hasn't really been hard enough. When we first came on air, we saw Luca Paolini trying to do something with Katusha, but then nothing really came of it. So for me, it's going to be late, and normally kind of starts to split up the next time we go to the Lieberg, which is about 26.9 kilometres to go to the finish. We've got the same run in, and it's a constant uphill, downhill, small roads, pave, and normally we see about 20 or 30 riders come into the finishing line.
The pace is up, and just check how they're taking this corner as well. Francis Auger doing the lead on, and it is 2 minutes and 22 at the moment. Our leaders have just been through the Eikemolen. Next up, it is the Clemenhulstadt with a pavé section as well. And just as we announce it, Cannondale start to join the fun. Lime Green of Cannondale's just setting up a marker at the moment on behalf of Peter Sagan. Famously, he is happy to see his men burnt along the way. He's a prize fighter when it comes to sprinting. Sagan likes to do it himself. He doesn't like the confusion of having teammates around him. So what he usually does is he turns them into pacemen throughout the day, and so they gradually fall by the wayside, and you're left with one familiar lime green of Cannondale up towards the front. Others really do like some help. Sasha Modolo is one of those. He's got a wingman with him at the moment. Favilli also working hard in that regard in the pink and purple. But Orica Green Edge, well, they are both sides of the road at the moment, and looking for space, looking to stay safe, but also looking to engage with the final run today. Haven't seen much of Team Europe car. They've got Yannick Martinez who can go quickly on occasion. That's the reason they were racing hard to get onto that turn, Brian.
Yeah, it's all about position. You really don't know when it's going to go, when a team are going to obviously go on the attack. We've already got 2 riders from World Tour teams slightly in front of the peloton, and that's Matt Heyman and Pim Ligtard. But again, Francis Auger just keeping it all together, riding at the front, keeping a good tempo, looking after Demar, thinking of the sprint finish towards the end. It's Ladagnus for Francis Auger at the front. Nobody really wanting to take it on. The peloton are looking at the race radio at the moment, 2 minutes and 20 seconds from the front to the back. But these 2 riders in front from Lotto Belisol and Orica Green Edge, just panning up to them now, must have about almost 30 seconds now. So still no reaction from the peloton as the neutral service car is pulled out of this gap to Ligtard and Heyman. Yeah, they're having fun, Ligtard and Heyman here. And we wish them well. Scott Goldstein says Eurosport, UCI rule is absurd. He said, let it all go as fair game. Yeah, I think, Scott, the reason is it's spectator safety. I think in the Tour de France and indeed in the Vuelta we had a couple of unsightly incidents where rather large ladies got bowled over. They were okay, but slightly shocked. John Beetle says, I need to go to Belgium at least once to watch my cycling. John, you do. You need to go soon because it's your kind of place. I know you're a chips and beer man. There we go. Hands up for help, and plenty of this throughout the day. This is Summerhill, Dan Summerhill. It seems to be the Americans that are getting caught today, and it's a front puncture for him. Yeah, very good rider. United Healthcare are being looked after by Henrik Redant. Very accomplished pro in his past, and you know, a prolific winner here in Belgium. So they've got a good team here. Bassana, very good. They've got obviously Ken Hansen, Luke Kioch, Sammerhill, who had the puncture there, Chris Jones, John Murphy, who we've seen, Martin Maaskant, the Dutch rider, very good kind of classics rider, loves this part of the world, obviously being Dutch. And an experienced man there in Robert Forster. So they have come with their A team here, looking to do something. Nice to see them in the Milan San Remo and get a rider in the breakaway there. So maybe we're seeing some changes in some of the kind of second division American teams coming over here, especially United Healthcare, and getting involved with the racing.
Yeah, they need to, but it's great as well. The United States really for such a long time have not been also-rans at all. We certainly had the stars, and if you're listening across the water, then you certainly know who they are. And it's been a joy to watch them do their stuff. But as the likes of Farrar just ed off the boil, although he was on it with the Dwar d'Or Vlaanderen as well. He was in there behind Terpstra, so maybe he's refound his form, and I certainly hope for him he has. But we tend to get satellite riders who come over from the United States, and it's great to see a team that really dedicates itself to helping US talent put itself on the main stage, and United Healthcare are one of those, and it's great to see, and I'm sure there'll be more and more funding as well, because there's no doubt cycling is still a huge sport in the United States. I know it's not one of the great big power sports that you generally tend to have out there, you know what I'm talking about, but it is something for everybody, and it's such a vast country. There should be more talent really, and more teams from the United States, and I'm sure they will come. 47.2 kilometers to go tells you that we are on the Klemhoestraat. Not such a testy one, and mostly tarmac, as you can see. But you know what? We've got to do it all again, Brian.
Yeah, and that, you can just see the pace wasn't really on in that last climb there. And a small group has been distanced. Not too sure what Luca Paolini is doing back there. Maybe he's had a bit of a problem. So a small group being detached, and you can see Ladagnus, he's just setting a tempo. He's not really, you know, going, you know, flat out in the left-hand side, or to his right-hand side, and see some of the riders from Astana. Andy Fenn, the Scotsman, coming up for Omega Pharma Quick. That's another rider I would watch out for today. He is a quick man. He can go over some of these short climbs, and I know that in his team he's got another fast man of Mark Renshaw, possibly an overall contender, Nicky Terpstra, but Andy Fenn could be a real contender when it comes to today's stage.
You know, we haven't really mentioned Androni Giocattoli. They've got Johnny Hoogeland here, who's a great favourite with many of you, but they've also got Kenny van der Hommel, the missile. Don't count him out. We are just mobbing across the road as we speak, and it looks like one of the Wanty boys has decided to try and join the fun here. And there he is, kicking off, and why not? And it's Jerome Bonnier, I beg your pardon, Bonnier. And there's his friend who's up the road, gets handed a bottle from the Golden team, and yeah, nice to see as well, which is Kevin Peters just handing one over and saying, well done mate, but just bed in and do your job, will you? 46.1 kilometers to go. We've got a brief hiatus, so we are going to take ourselves a short break. Don't forget, we'll be talking to some of you on Twitter after the break. It's Carlton Kirby or Bry Smithy, and if you hashtag Eurosport Cycling, then the whole family finds your words. We've settled into a reasonably comfortable place right now. We still have a breakaway, but the main pack are comfortable with what they've got to do. I guess that is because, Brian Smith, they have seen the climbs, and a preview is as good as a rest, really, because there's nothing unexpected to come, save for your co-competitors.
Yeah, they're just waiting for teams to take it on. Just noticed that Luca Paolini in Katusha colours of red and the white just popping out there to the left in the middle of the screen has made it back to the front. They want to try and do something. We are heading obviously to the next climb, and Katusha starting to take it up, but nice to see France de Dieu starting to rise, starting to pick up the tempo, but not kind of ripping it to pieces. You see some of these Katusha riders jumping all over the place, and You know, obviously the road furniture very difficult to negotiate some of these roads and the road furniture during this course, and pretty much all over Belgium. So you have to keep your wits about you, and that's the whole thing about this race and any race in Belgium. With the difference in the roads, you can just see if we go from big roads to small roads and pavé sections, climbs. It's all about concentration, and you have to keep to the front in the first 20. You can just see how Luca Paolini came from the back group up towards the front. But that's taken obviously a bit of effort to be able to do that, and that's the efforts you don't really want to do. So if you can ride in the 15th, 20th position pretty much all this stage and just wait for it to happen, then that's perfect. But Française des Jeux are really confident in Demar after finishing second in Ghent-Wevelgem at the weekend there, just being out sprinted by Degenkolb, who's not here, but the other sprinter for Giant Shimano is here, Kittel. Not too sure this will suit him today, but it's going to be interesting to see what happens at this next lap.
So you're going to see the finish line. They, more importantly, are going to see exactly that. There is a lot of road furniture in Belgium. They're very keen on their signs and indeed their lighting. It was the first country to declare all roads need to be illuminated. Seemed like a big ask, really. And well, when they put the lights up, what it did was it at least let you see the potholes, of which their national roads used to have so many. I'm sure the highways have improved, but I've had some dreadful moments in Belgium, I must admit, in the past. You know, one of those sort of fish shaking at the sky, and you can see a lot of road repairs going on in town as we come in. Zottegem is our destination today. Oudenaarde is also on the map, but we've dealt with it. So we're on our circuit today, and this is the approach. So they go over the bridge with 350 to go, and you better be on the right side of the road at that point. You'll be spat out towards the left, and it's going to be rocking and rolling at this point for the finish line. And look how narrow it is, Brian. There's not many routes through, and this is an intermediate sprint. Oh my goodness, that showed you how much power was going through the back wheel there from De Vreet. The friend, well, he got across the line in second place behind Stijn Stales. They were running for the bonuses, but it shows you how skittery the surface was as well. Tom De Vreet, the back wheel was lost there as he got in an extra piece of power. I guess that's a warning to us. Those in the pack won't have seen that.
No, but this finish in Zottegem is used quite often. Just in Kiki here riding for Neri Sartori team, and Kiki, a very fast sprinter, spent a lot of years with Liquigas. Seems to have a problem with his bike there, but he's another rider that's got a very fast finish in him. He hasn't been doing much, but we're just seeing this sprint again for 3:2 and 1 second. You see the rider in the middle from 3M just catches one of the drain covers. The wheel pops up, just the power he's putting down, but it was a top spot Vlaanderen taking the maximum points in seconds here. And the 3M rider just has to settle for second. But these are the riders in between, and this is Lichtard of Lotto Belisol, Heyman of Ulrika Green Edge, Bognes of the Wanty team, and he's got a rider in front with Tim Destroyer, and Bognes was in one of the breakaways during the Volta a Catalunya. But as we can see, the peloton are starting to bring back the riders in front. As we hit the line with Française des Jeux in the blue to front, it's about 1:25.
Top Sport Vlaanderen looking very lively today. They've got Michael van Steen and Ken van Bilsen as well. They're strong but quick. What you need today. Well, they stream over the changeable surface in town here. We go from solid tarmac to cobbles to bricks to concrete and all the way back again.
Concentration.
Yeah, exactly. You need that, and you better be absolutely aware and have your bike handling skills to the fore. We were talking about it last week. There was a move at some point to actually put sort of wet and dry paper on some of the drain covers, but I don't know. I think you just got to at least kind of trust the riders really to deliver, and that's a safe one is what I'm talking about. It did look extraordinarily narrow and skittery, so let's just keep our fingers crossed for absolutely everyone, shall we? Let's remind you there are 10, 6 and 4 seconds at the line today. They will also be there tomorrow, and then Thursday is a split day. We have sprinting in the morning and then individual time trial in the afternoon. You'll be able to keep in touch with all of it live here on Eurosport, your home of cycling. And there are 6, 4 and 2 seconds available in that short sprint on the Thursday, but 10, 6 and 4 each day, today and tomorrow, as part of the 3 days. So you can build up quite a cushion. It's certainly worth going for today. You may not be able to win it today, but you can keep yourself within, but you can lose it on this one, can't you, today?
Yeah, you can definitely lose it in a day like today. A puncture or mechanical at the wrong point, maybe being too far back, because when we get to about 30 kilometres to go, I can see this race kicking off, and maybe 20, 30 riders. Remember last year there was only maybe about 20 or less riders came to the finishing line, but you can just see the peloton now in one long line, and this will have an effect in a few kilometres time, especially with all the climbs. And if our team really puts the pressure on, this race will split to pieces. You can just see not far from the back here, about 10, 12 up, Peter Sagan, number 11 there, and it looks as if he doesn't want to really get involved with the pushing and shoving. He's sitting down the back, and I think he's just using this as kind of his preparation towards a big goal of his, the Ron van Vlaanderen, this weekend.
Well, we'll see whether he comes to the fore. If it does start to shake down and there's more road space, don't be surprised to see Peter Sagan come through. But Francis de Gier have a different strategy. They're doing all their protective work out front, and they're doing a good job to look after Arnaud de Meer.
Just looking at the Dutch champion riding for an Italian team up towards the front as well. Johnny Hogeland. On the wheel of Johnny Hogeland is Van Hummel, another one of the riders from Vacansoleil. They rode for Vacansoleil together last year, but I found their place in the Italian second division team. That's Kenny Van Hummel just there in the left hand side with the red flashes to the sleeves and the white kit on. So a lot of riders now starting to come towards the front. So you can just see Omega Pharma Quick Step in the left hand side in the black white helmets. Luca Paolini also up there for Katusha. But this is down the back, a baptism of fire for some of these riders. Alessandro Bassano, another problem for United Healthcare. A lot of punctures. It'll be interesting to see, and I actually might give Henrik a call after this, because they seem to be having a lot of problems with the punctures and mechanicals today.
They do, and it looks like a mechanical issue. He's certainly rolling on and just says, look, sort it out. Not quite sure where the mechanics have gone wrong there, but clearly United Healthcare are in bother. Yeah, just going back to Kenny Van Hummel and Johnny Hogeland, Androni Giocattoli, Gianni Savio has signed them up, and great names they are. He always managed to cherry pick at the end of the season those who are just stalling a little bit on with their contracts. Often managed to get pick up. I think it was the last chance for Magnus Baxter as well, as far as road racing was concerned, and thought that Gianni may well pick him up. And another stall very, very late on. That looks like debris for Kurt Gazen. Gets it out, extricates it, doesn't want to kick a chain a little bit later on. Good idea for him to do exactly that. Francis de Gier putting in a lot of work up front. Expect most certainly Arnaud de Meer to be at the sharp end when we get in there. What about Gardini for Astana? We haven't seen much of the boys in the pale blue yet.
Well, you can just see them just sitting back. There's no really point in taking it on.
It's clever stuff, isn't it?
Yeah, Francis de Gier are have taken it on for the last kind of 10 kilometres. Okay, they're not trying to rip the race apart. They're just controlling things, controlling the breakaway. The breakaway, it was originally 6 riders, went away after 70 kilometres. We still have Destroyer of Wanty, Peters of the Vast Goat Service Team, Steels of Top Sport Vlaanderen, 3M have got De Vriend, and Jay Thompson still there for MTN. We have lost one of the original breakaway, Pont Gautier, from MTN, but we still have 5 riders in front. In between we have Lichtard, Heyman and Bognes, but the whole race is within about 1 minute and 10 from front to back.
We'll take a break. We'll be back with you after this. Welcome back. Big bridging job being done by Lichtert, Heyman and Bonnier. You might well catch sight of them in a moment. There they are. Not that much of a distance at all. 35.6 kilometres to go. We're doing all of those climbs that we have previously mentioned. The Leiberg, the Lagendries, the Ten Bosch, the Ekeboland, and indeed the Klemnulstrat. And the last of those coming with only 5.1 to go until the finish. And so it announces to you, and should do suggest to everybody, that we're going to see some fireworks within the next 5 kilometres. They can't afford to let this one go out too far, and especially with the likes of Lichten, Heyman, you know, all right, Bonnier perhaps not, but Lichten and Heyman could ride onto this and ride off. It's a danger, and I suspect the teams may well crank up the pace. It's been a fast one so far today, despite the fact we've had so many climbs. They are short and sharp. And so it does badge itself up as really being one for the quick men of those who like to get involved in the classics. All right, we haven't got Cavendish, we haven't got Greipel, who's now suffered, as you know, a broken clavicle. His collarbone is actually distended. It was actually ripped off with all the ligaments, so it's worse than a break for Greipel. It's going to really hamper him this season. Mark Cavendish, gastroenteritis. Doctor signed him off this morning. He was here, did want to race. It wasn't an excuse. So Mark's gone elsewhere. It leaves us with the likes of Kittel, with De Meer, Gardini, Kenny De Haas, Van Hummel, Christoph. Fabulous names. We haven't mentioned Peter Sagan in that group. We're not sure as to just how much he's going to put in today. If it's safe, he'll go for it. If it's not, he'll stay safe.
Yeah, that's the main thing. He knows that it just takes you know, a small mishap, and you know, the chances of you know, Ron van Vlaanderen this weekend and Paris-Roubaix could be out the window. So he's not taking any chances. We've seen what happened in Ghent-Wevelgem at the weekend with so many riders, and sadly Ian Stannard and Greipel will be missing from the classics this year. So that's why you see a lot of the riders here, just to get the kind of racing under their legs. Not as if they've raced enough this year already, but yeah, Peter Sagan looked to be sitting down the back of the peloton, keeping out of trouble. But the team of Orica Green Edge and Lotto have started things off. Still just under 35 kilometres to go to the finish here. We still have 5 climbs: the Lieberg, Legendaries, Ten Boss, Eikenmolen and the Klemhustrats, and that comes, as you said, 5.1. Just panning down here, as we see, we've got the 5 original breakaway and we've got 3 in between, and you can just see the pack in the background. So from front to back there's only probably about just less than 1 minute.
Right, we're on highway at the moment. We are going to make a turn, and that's why these are compressed together. That is one heck of a pack at the moment. The peloton fighting for position, and when we get the road change and we turn, they will start attacking. Everyone is going to want a piece of the road at the moment, so you'll see them getting into their colour blocks. And it's Europcar that's headed for the nose right now. Yannick Martinez is their quick man today. Red hot favourite for this event is Nicky Terpstra. He can time trial, he can go quickly, he can go up the lumps. He's from Omega Pharma Quickstep. In the absence of Mark Cavendish, he's the absolute shoe-in, surely. He's on great form as well after taking the Dwars door Vlaanderen as well and finished second to Sagan in the Harelbeke. He's here. So is Sagan, as we've already told you, but Orica Green Edge have got a fantastic team as well. Durbridge, Hepburn, Heyman, Howards, Kropis, Svein Tuft as well, who can time trial like a demon. Let's not forget Sam Bewley and the rest, and Jens Maurice. They are going to go for this. So are, it seems, just about everybody else and their auntie. Let's see. There is Europcar in the green just edging out, and Giant want to be in a safe place for Kittel. It's teed up for him, you might think, today. He climbs reasonably well for a fast man, and so if they can protect him, Kittel will certainly be a feature at the end.
Yeah, I'm just wincing here at some of the vehicles and road furniture that side of the road, and the speed of these riders in the peloton now. And you're trusting your fellow pro in front of you to shout these out and you know, to wave, because you know, riding at just over 30 mile an hour into, you know, the next corner, when you get a big wide road like this, everybody's trying to move up the left and the right. It takes a great expertise to go through the middle, and just hope everybody's safe. But we'll go on to a small road very soon, and that's why we get the push and the shoving, and nice to see Kittel up towards the front. But this is what they're fighting for, this left hand corner.
It is. That's the turn onto rough tarmac, which as you can see, it's broken road at the side and it's quite narrow. If you tip off the side, you will get a pinch puncture. There's also a nasty little joining mark right down the middle, which hasn't been covered with overbanding. Here's the squash. Everybody stay safe, take a left. Oh my goodness, big cut over. I thought somebody had gone down there, but it was just an extraordinarily slow rider. Just backed out of it, hit the brakes, and everyone did indeed stay safe. How did you get 15 wide into 2 wide? Well, you just saw it. That actually was masterful.
Yeah, it's professional racing. It just goes to show you the bike handling skills. I was probably about 20 wide going into that corner, and they went down to about 3 or 4. But you can just see the riders in between of Heyman, Ligtard and Bogdan's looking behind. It looks as if it's all over for them. But these riders in front, Thompson, Steels, Detroit, Devrient, and the original breakaway, are still kind of trying to hang out there.
They are, but they're all going to be within sight of each other, especially some of the quicker guys who've come off the nose of the peloton. Omid Farmer there, that was Giant, incidentally, that led most of that curve for Marcel Kittel. Safest place is to be out front, and he was pacey enough to get exactly there. He's now just backed in as his team just mob the front of the pack. Everyone's within sight of each other at the moment. Ligtard, Heyman and Bonnier, the intermediate riders here, just starting to waver across the road. Good work and chapeau to to Giant there. They led everyone a merry dance, and thankfully everyone stayed safe, as we have said. One of a series of climbs then, Brian. Lot of transition here, lot of opportunity to go for it. Who's your pick today?
That's a difficult one. Demar.
Good call. Yeah, I think Arnaud Demar, absolutely brilliant. He's on fabulous form at the moment, and Francis de Jure have been working so hard for him. They've proven that they are in the mood. I think somebody who might just have a bit of a skirmish would be Sacha Modolo today. .31 kilometres to go, so we'll see how they pan out. We're not going for the obvious, the likes of Kittel, the likes of Sagan. I still think Sagan's got some cards to play here. If it's safe, he'll go, but there's that big if. And, you know, I do avoid mentioning somebody from Orica Greenhouse. I think they're going to come into this later on, and certainly with all their time trialling talent, with Toft, Hepburn and Durbridge as well, let's not forget, I think they'll take advantage a bit later on, but they'll probably nurse it today. Then again, you know, this is all crystal ball stuff. Thanks for your comments, by the way, and your kind thoughts along the way. It's great to hear from you. Travis George saying, which is the team with the dirty great big paw print on the back? I think he wants, think he fancies some of the shorts here. It is Veranda Classic, yeah. There they are in the green. It is rather an attractive kit. Close up as well, it looks even better because the green seems to be just dulled ever so slightly on TV.
It's to give everybody the opportunity to put their hand on their back and push them. That's the push point there.
Click out for Brambilla. Luckily he was towards the back, but there's going to be an awful lot more of this, and as if by magic there is. Wheel touches, you've got to be careful. You can go over sometimes, Brian, if you go over slowly it can be worse than going over quickly. Yeah,
that's when you you know, obviously break the smaller bones in your hands like the scaphoid. But this is the next race onto these Pavé section coming up. It's 2 kilometres long, and this is where we're going to see it all kick off. Problem for one of the MTN riders there. We come off the main road. This is not Peter Sagan, it's the Bardiani riders, but we come off the main road, squeezed down from about 20 to about 4 across. Then there was a bit of lull in the action, and then we're looking to head in towards this Pavé section. The breakaway are already on it, but this bunch are going to go from all across the road to pretty much single line. The race is going to be on here because everybody want to try and line out the peloton.
They certainly are. Making the bridge over here, let's not forget, Pim Ligtard from Lotto Belisol is in the red jersey, and he's already starting just eating through the pack. And I'm not surprised. He may well feast himself today, because Pim Ligtard is one of those kind of guys who can actually go long. 29.3 is not that long either, especially with all of these obstacles in the way. The race is actually on right now.
Yeah, we're just starting. This is where it all kind of kicked off last time. A lot of punctures, people, gaps starting to open. But just noticed in the green on the right-hand side, there's a few of his teammates for Bardiano dropped back, but it was Colbrelli again towards the back.
Look at this cadence. They're not hanging around. Now, your elbows and your wrists are the things that take most punishment, actually, going through this. You think it might well be through the seat. It's not. You have your shock absorbers up front, and bike handling skills are, well, really a premium on this kind of surface. And you're thinking, oh, well, it's dry. No, it's dusty. And so it's just as skittery as if it was wet.
Yeah, well, it's happening now. It happened here the last time round. Maybe not as exciting as we have seen it now. In the front, we've got 8 riders. We had 6 going off the front. We lost 1 and 3 riders came across, Lichtart, Heyman and Bognes. But you just see Heyman just kind of dropping back. But the head of the peloton, it's Julian Vermont taking away one of the Giant Shimano riders. One of the wanted rider behind is Napolitano, and wanted are actually riding quite well. They've got a rider in the first breakaway, a rider going across with Heyman, and now they've got a very good sprinter in there for their team, the Italian Napolitano. But the race is on. The bunch are starting to get into one line, and they're going to race all the way into the finishing line, into the last 30 kilometres as Luca Paolini realises the danger. Steegmans goes with them, and again, Giant Shimano are up there as well.
Steegmans, a man who likes to be on rails. By that, he is a fast man. Before Kittel, of course, won up the Champs-Élysées last year in the Tour de France. He was the last man since Mark Cavendish had that huge string of victories. Now, of course, showing the same team. And Steegmans, well, he might well be a bet for today. Trouble is, he needs a long time to get up to full pace. He's like a big old boiler of a steam train. Once he's at full tilt, he's fantastic. He just can't switch his pace. So if Steegmans gets a clean run, and with that nasty turn over the bridge with just 350 metres to go, it's highly unlikely. But don't count him out. They've also got Mark Renshaw, don't forget. Fantastic Aussie battler, prize fighter par excellence. So if it gets rough, pick Mark. Oh, goodness me. 27.7 to go, and this is the charge down we're witnessing.
Yeah, the race is on now. Matt Heyman dropped from the breakaway, which is a surprise for the Orica Green Edge rider just on the right-hand side there, but it's Julian Vermont ripping this field apart, and back to the front, and it's still Tim Dutroy. He did this the lap earlier, trying to pick up as many of the mountains points or the hill points as possible, because he wants to get on the podium at the end of the day. It looked as if he was on a Sunday run earlier on in this stage, and one of his teammates, Bognes, is coming with him. So it's all action at the front of the peloton.
Yeah, Lichtart still trying to make that bridge over and just continue his progress through the pack. Meanwhile, Omega Pharma Quickstep in their black with the white sash across their chests, also very much getting involved. And here Steegmans could be a good call today, but as we said, it will have to be at distance. Katusha making a nuisance of themselves, breaking up the front of the pack, and there's riders all over the road at the moment.
Yeah, and there's a lot of motorbikes at the front of this race, and it's all coming back together. Steegmans has already shown his intent. There was the first sprint of the day was taken by Steegmans. Lampert of Top Sport Vlaanderen was second. Bodnar was third. So 3, 2 and 1 seconds on the sprint points. 10, 6 and 4 on the sprint, the finishing line here. But it's full on in the last 30 kilometres here.
It is. We're going to squeeze in another commercial break. And nice to see that Marcel Kittel is actually up here towards the front. He's in that string of singles as the rest of the party animals further behind are all hugging each other just for now. Well, metaphorically speaking, you understand. Peter Sagan staying safe within the pack. He's actually moved a little bit further forward, so clearly he's being tempted. And like the predator that he is, one sniff of blood and he will be in like Flynn. 26.5 kilometres to go. We're in the middle of this peaky section. More of that to come. We're going to keep an eye on this while we get our commercial break out of the way with, but plenty of you starting to talk about who you think might be a feature today. Oh, goodness me, it's difficult to actually make that call right now because there's so many different styles of riders all locked together. What we do know is that you're going to have to be quick, and you're going to have to be able to take on a fight, and a fight is what we're going to get. 26.1 kilometres to go. We're going through Elst. We'll keep an eye, and then we'll be back with you and have a brief chat to those of you who are joining us on Twitter. Don't forget the hashtag Eurosport Cycling. Welcome back. We said Sagan was possibly being tempted, and on one of the downhill sections he's just nosed his way to the front. Safest place, I guess. And if he's got the power and he's got the space, then of course he's going to be there. Instinctively, Marcel Kittel followed him through, locked onto his wheel, missile styly. Alexander Kristoff being called by one of you, Peter Knight, on Twitter, saying, yeah, he's my pick for the day. Fantastic call. He'll certainly be in the frame, the great Norwegian. He's got the power as well. But if Sagan's in the mood, who's going to beat Sagan? Goodness only knows. 23.8 kilometres to go. Absolutely fascinating race this. The 3 days of Japan throws up just a cross section for fast-ish riders who can also go strong. Why do you have to go strong? It's got everything here, including lots of climbs, and we're dealing with most of them today, and it looks like somebody has taken a tumble, and that is a bad one. And it looks like he was not alone. Somebody already patched up from earlier on. 23.5 to go. If you drift off the road, you can certainly hit it hard. And there was no getting back up out of that one. That did not look nice. Goodness me. Just trying to sort out who it is for you. Freddie Villens. And that's a big loss to Lotto. Freddie, of course, they're without Andre Greipel, don't forget. Kenny de Haas is the man that they're going to be working for today. But the work rate up front is absolutely top draw right now. And they're holding the gap on the peloton, who are still trying to sort themselves out as to who might reach out for this.
Yeah, it's full on now, and good to see so many of the kind of Belgian riders, the Flandrian riders there. One of them just kind of peels off, but it's all action at the front. I think the Omega Pharma quick step rider is Martin Velits, but well, on the legendaries. This is a continent, a third division team at the front here. This is the team of Vasco de Servis. They have got Kevin Hulsmans in here, although this isn't him, but good to see some of the smaller Belgian riders getting in amongst it. I believe the Europcar riders is Vincent Jerome in there for Europcar, but Jay Thompson's still there hanging in the back. He was in the original breakaway, but again, all fighting for position, only enough roads and a few riders running off.
That's why Sagan got himself into a safe place, and this one of the team Neta Endura boys is here, and it's Schillinger, I think. Yeah, exactly. Oh, and there's more as well. Disaster along the way. That was Gavazzi who was on the deck. Didn't look hurt, but he looked disgusted. So many chops and turns, and that was the left-hander they were teeing themselves up for. Everyone wanted a piece of the right-hand side of the road, which gives you an earlier and easier curve into the corner, and it just didn't work because there's not that much space.
Yeah, it's exciting stuff, and it's just all splitting up. Everybody everywhere just looking behind there, and it looks as if it's Scott Thwaites, the English rider for NetApp Endurance, coming up to join the front of the race. So it's all action here, and the team of Cannondale trying to take control, but I don't think anybody controlled the speed of this race. Gert Stegman's in second place there. It's all action here in the first stage of Depana.
22 seconds now, those who are counted in the lead group. There's so many intermediate riders as well along the way. It's almost hard to fathom at the moment. Meanwhile, at the back, one thing is for sure, it's a difficult place to be. Yeah, exactly. You just do not want to be here. And Tim de Troyer is one of those, has a look back almost forlornly, waiting for help.
Napolitano there being distanced now, so he's just talking in his radio. He was up towards the front, so it looks as if he has maybe a problem. But all these riders now drifting back, and there's no way back for them now. Just this is Napolitano here. It does look as if he has got a problem. He's just talking into his race radio, and he was up there to the front. He looked very good for today, but he's drifting through the peloton and the cars now. And I don't think there's any way back for him, but we still have these 6 riders in the front. Jerome there in the right-hand side. Van Kersbroek it is towards the front. Jay Thompson still in there. Cordeo, Bognes. So a mixture of some riders from the original breakaway.
Here we go. Time to kick off. Don't forget that Neri Sotoli have Francesco Kiki here as well. It's sort of a change of team for him. Let's not forget. Dropping down a division, though, can help you. Just ask Cholek. Of course, the great man took a step back to take a great step forward with Milan-San Remo. There we are, 20.5 kilometres to go. Plenty of switching, and this is a squeezing, if you like. Goodness me, they're not hanging around.
No, it's a fantastic race, and it keeps on switching. We do have 6 riders in front, and one rider trying to cross, lulling the action. Now everybody's on their hands and knees, everybody looking behind. They get their teammates up to the front. Kittel is still up towards the front. Stegmans, Peter Sagan is up towards the front, but there's a lot of teams missed out in this breakaway, and they want to try and do something. But it's Omega Pharma, Quick Steps, Big Man Gul, Van Kersbroek setting the pace at the head.
20 to go, flat 20. Let's hope nobody gets a flat, and if you try and find some room on the side of the road, that's precisely what might happen. We've seen a lot of that, a lot of wheel touches going on as well. We have a powerful run for the line about to be engaged in here, and unfortunately within the pack there's a lot of hiatus. Everyone's looking around saying, no, after you, after you. Somebody's got to reach out, and it's probably going to be on one of the testy ramps that still remain with 19.6 to go. The last climb comes 5.1 kilometers. That's the Clement Hoodstraat, 5.1 from home. That's going to spin down very, very quickly, and we will be there in 14 kilometers time or so. There is Peter Sagan, just easing up. He's on the right-hand side, so center of your screen now, about 10 riders back. Clearly didn't want to do all this on his lonesome. Engaged with everyone out there and said, look, come on, we're not going to be, we may well be obvious amongst the favourites, but we're certainly not going to offer everyone a free ride today. Oh, a lot of elbows going on. Wanty Group Gobert mustering themselves for somebody. It's not Napolitano unless he's relayed himself back on. Maybe De Vries, reasonably pacey man as well. 15 seconds now, the group out front, so they believe they've got them within range, and well, they're right, but it's just on these squeeze sections, and as you can see, a lot of changes not only in surface but of direction as well to be dealt with. It can be a costly affair if you hold back too long, and sooner or later somebody's going to have to look.
Yeah, the rider just coming through there was the rider that fired across to the six-man break, and that was a Finetto of the Neri team, number 187. But you can just see the damage has been done. There's now we have 7 riders in the front group, and they only have 11 seconds in a group about, I would say, maybe about 50 riders. So it goes to show you that you know, when these riders start to put the pressure on, gaps appear everywhere.
Dave McCarthy says, I reckon today is going to be about Demare. Well, it could well be a nightmare, I've got to say, for a lot of the riders out there. Good pick, David. However, some of you have already lost out by the looks of things. Andrew Hillman went for Napolitano. He might get back on, we'll see, but it looked like curtains for the day.
Yeah, very much doubted Napolitano will make it back on now, but I tell you what, the ride of the day so far has been Jay Thompson for MTN. He was in the original breakaway, still in here, and we're inside the last 20 kilometres. Terrific ride where the rest of the breakaway companions have now been distanced.
This looks ominous. We've got a lot of talent in that pack, and indeed they've made their way at pace, so duties have been shared. The problem is, if you take over some of the hard work, you're kind of teeing up Peter Sagan to do his stuff. Let's remind you that Marcel Kittel is also within that group, and they're only 14 seconds adrift. So it's going to be quick towards the end, we know that. It's whether somebody is going to go on the attack, and right now it looks like Cannondale are tearing themselves up. Sagan, we mentioned it earlier, is want to sacrifice his men. He doesn't really care much for a lead-out train. They kind of get in the way. Fewer riders ahead of him, the better, as far as he's concerned, and he is teeing himself up beautifully. And Gardini's team also here with the man himself.
Yeah, Sagan was sitting back pretty, just keeping out of trouble, but now the race is on inside the last 20 kilometres. Now he's in the, we'll call this the peloton, about 50 riders that are left. We have got 7 riders in front. Van Kersbroek for Omega Pharma Quickstep, Jerome for Europcar, Thompson of MTN, Van Bilsen of Topsport Vlaanderen, Wanty have Bognies, and Finetto of Neri, and Cordeo of Vasco Service.
Freddie Williams has abandoned. He's the man from Lotto Belisol who was on the deck. We have no information about his injuries, but it's clearly enough. It's not just a bicycling problem for him to have pulled out. Astana mustering for Andrea Gardini in their pale blue, just behind this line of green Cannondale riders. Sagan is 4th in line. There he is. He has the Slovakian champion's stripe down his belly. You also have Omega Pharma Quickstep joining in here. They are Herc Stigmans and Mark Renshaw protecting Nicky Terpstra, who will go well, doubtless. Also, you have Marcel Kittel. We've caught several sights of him. He's not that far behind Peter Sagan. And if he's sailing over this with protection and these guys don't get themselves into a different gear on the climbs, then Sagan will be there, Kittel will be there at the end and will certainly challenge Sagan. Modolo is also in the mix for Lampre Merida in their pink and royal blue. And I think it's curtains for these guys. You're going to see the pack coming round the corner in just a few moments' time. And in fact, this is an expanding group as we speak.
Yeah, this is a group about over 30, 40 riders trying to make it back to the peloton and just about to make contact. So we will have about 70, 80 riders left. So a good effort, but it's these efforts that will take it away from the last few climbs. And we still have got the 10 boss to come, Eiken Molen and the Clem Hoestraat, with only 5.1 kilometres to go to the finish. So it's full on, and a lot of riders starting to suffer.
They certainly are. It's a constant battle to actually stay on in this situation. If you do get distanced and you're chasing back, it's a very difficult thing when there's this sort of pace throughout the day to actually make it back on. And we've got a lot who will suffer. There's going to be some huge time gaps today.
Yeah, there'll be a few guys down the road. Swain Tuff just going through for Orica Green Edge. He just has to try and stay in here. He's got a terrific time trial on him. A couple other of the Orica Green Edge riders towards the back. It's about limiting your losses. If you can stay with that front group and you have got an excellent time trial, then there's possibilities the overall. But just see the general regroupment on this peloton.
Next big turn is what they're battling for as they go through Brakel. It's a bit of a squeeze as well. This next one, it's quite a wide highway, but there's road furniture as well. You can see the pennant men are doing their job, and look, some of them having to use the bike lanes here, the cycle paths along the way. 15.3 to go. So we still have our final climbs. Don't forget that Clement Holstadt comes with 4 to go. About 4 kilometres in advance of that. So with 8 to go, we have the Elke Molen. That's perhaps the least of their troubles. The 10 Boss, with its max gradient of 8.7%, is still very much in the frame. And here is the sort of mixed surface that the breakaway riders are dealing with, and the peloton not that far behind, as you can see. They're on a similar surface right now.
Yeah, still the pace at the front of the 7-man breakaway led by Bognes. Another problem for the Neri team in the fluorescent yellow, but it's all strung out. We are just heading to the 10 Boss now. They'll soon be on it. Still 3 climbs to go, but not a great day for this team in the fluorescent yellow.
Roberto De Parte, I think, Adriano. My mistake, I beg your pardon, Adriano. Meanwhile, out front, the chase is still on for these guys to wind them in. I think they've had it. But the gap, you can see them just streaming in at the bottom of the road. It's only a couple of 100 metres, and suddenly is the realisation that they've got to go and try and reach out and do something. Finetto, I think it is, who's leading them over right now. 14.4 to go. 15 seconds is the listed gap because of the climb. But at least it is smooth and dry, and the long shadows thrown up as we're still very much in springtime racing. Nobody with any kind of warm weather gear on. Hert Steegman's still very much part of that pack, and I think he's possibly the danger man, because if Steegmans rolls over this one, he can suddenly find another gear, which he gently engages, I might add. Slow use of clutch, let's put it that way, shall we? We'll see how he peaks over the last 2. 14 to go.
Yeah, Jay Thompson is absolutely flying in this stage today. He's the rider from MTN in the black with the yellow stripe down his helmet, and he's been in the breakaway from the start and still in there racing, trying to take the points, trying to take the King of the Mountains. One of the riders from Wanty trying to come across, I think that's Laurens de Vries for Wanty trying to come across. They do have a man in this breakaway of Bognes, just the rider at the back in the light blue. But if you look behind, de Vries is trying to come across this gap. The big man from the Wanty team, big strong rider, and he'll be useful if he does get across this gap, which looks as if he is.
Finetto's had another go. Steegmans is struggling to stay with them on the climbs here, and they've decided that they don't want him as a passenger. And so our friends from Top Sport Vlaanderen just kick off in their familiar blue, white and yellow. And Steegmans, though, is staying with this. I think Steegmans might be a good outside bet in play here, because the big Belgian He's had his glory days. He had a disastrous move to Katusha, which exploded in his face and knocked out an entire season. He's picked up with Omega Pharma Quickstep, of course, and has very much been part of their engine room, working on behalf of the likes of Mark Cavendish. Well, he's got his chance today because Cavendish is not here, but Steegmans is, and he's in the break, and there he is, P3 at the moment, and certainly just churns it on. Tries to just inject that slow bit of pace that he can find that other gear slowly but surely. He is a man who likes to be on rails, but with 12.4 to go, if this does stick, don't bet against Steegmans.
Yeah, it's a good group here of 8 riders. You can just see the rider from Talksport, Vlaanderen, Van Bilsen, setting the pace. Finetto comes through to do his turn. He's a rider kind of zipped across to this breakaway, really wants to do something. The other riders in here is Van Kersbroek from Omega Pharma Quickstep, Jerome of Europcar, Jay Thompson we've mentioned for MTM Quebeca, Bognes of Wanty. I think it's De Vries that's made it across there for Wanty as well. Cordeo of Vascode Service, and 8-man group still with a slender advantage with Cannondale at the front.
And look at this, they have knocked it off. They've knocked it off. There's Kittel, you can see in the Giant with the black and white stripes, and there's Sagan as well, 3rd man back in green. Danger for these guys if they don't think about reaching out for it. The danger for them, of course, I guess, on such a narrow road, you're giving those behind you a free ride. They don't want to do that. Nicky Terpstra very much involved with Omega Pharma Quickstep in the dark with the white sash across. There's the black and white with the 2 stripes on the belly of Giant as well, with Kittel there. Just scratches his top lip, almost considering what he's going to be doing today. Sagan looks the predator that he is, an absolute assassin, but hasn't called for an injection of pace just yet. Maybe he's thinking of another day. Well, 18 seconds is the gap, and unfortunately for them, here Steegmans, along with some other classy riders, is in the break. It's not much, but there's 2 peaks to be dealt with. 8.7% is coming up, will be fastly dealt with in about 2 kilometres time. Van Kielsberg also right there.
Yes, Van Kersbroek in his 8-man breakaway with the black in his outfit, and that's the Omega Pharma Quickstep rider. But it's down to the peloton now with only 4 riders from Cannondale, one of them being Peter Sagan. So he might be thinking, I tell you what, I'm going to sit behind my 2 teammates in front and maybe try and zip across this on this next climb of the Eikenmolen on my own, because I don't think the 2 riders from the Cannondale will be able to bring back these 8 riders if they continue to work well together.
It is the rough, desperate down figure of Van Kersbroek, who's here. 9.8 kilometres to go. And we look back at the pack, and I think they've done their job, or at least they do. And it looks like the breakers as well have decided to take it easy. Now, the attack is for this.
Yeah, the left turn onto the Eikenmolen, and it's only 450 metres, but at this stage of the race, the maximum is 8.7. We could see a reaction from the peloton because this gap is under 20 seconds now. And this could be where the race actually splits to pieces.
And here we go. Sagan having a look. He may well have to do most of this himself. Wants to stay safe. Attacks. Goes in. And I wouldn't be surprised to see him pick up the pace. And he certainly does. Off the nose. He goes. And who's going to have the will to stay with him? He's burned his teammates. They got him into a safe place. He's got 1 wingman right now to protect his back wheel. 9.2. Believe me, this is an attack.
Just look at Terpstra's face. Terpstra has given everything 100% to go with Sagan here. He's got a teammate with him, but just behind you've got Terpstra and Steegmans. This race has been set alight.
Absolutely, and Christoph is also in the frame for Katusha just behind. Sagan injects the pace. Terpstra tries to stay with him, but just look what Sagan is doing right now. Everything necessary, we think. 9 kilometres to go, 10 seconds now, the gap to the breakers, and there's a lot of talent racing right on here. Terpstra is doing a super job to be in the right place at the right time. It might come out to be mano a mano. Terpstra will save himself for the time trial at the end on Thursday, don't forget. He has the time trialling advantage over Sagan, so stick with Sagan, let Sagan feast himself on today, and then Terpstra comes through with the counterpunch in the time trial at the end to win it. Maybe that's what's heading through his mind right now? We speculate. The answer today will come in 8.6 kilometres time, and we've still got some climbing to do.
But just look at the peloton now. There's groups absolutely everywhere. Just as we thought, Cannondale set it off for Peter Sagan to jump across to the front group. Gaps everywhere, and Steegmans and Terpstra were trying their hardest to stay with them. Got slightly distanced and now have to make the effort to get up to the Cannondale riders, who have zipped across this gap to the 8 riders in front.
Steegmans certainly involved just a little further back, riding with Nicky Terpstra. Apologies for that, but it is about Sagan and what he has done to everybody here. The only man who appears to have been able to stick with him is Nicky Terpstra right now, and they're relaying back on. Terpstra, of course, will have some help from Van Kiersbult, but how much effort has he used and expended along the way? Last peak, don't forget, it's coming up in 3 kilometres time. They realise this. That's what Sagan knew. He knew there was a pinch point coming up as well. Well, masterful, you've got to say.
Yeah, good effort here by Van Bilsen of Topsport Vlaanderen, the rider in the lead now. He realised that the big riders were coming across from Cannondale and Omega Pharma Quickstep, but it's now down to the team of Cannondale and Omega Pharma Quickstep to take control there. A good sized group for them to go all the way to the finishing line. We still have these small climbs, 720 metres of the Klemhoedstraat to come, with 5.1 to go, but just look as if the riders in the front are not really pulling hard, and we could get a general regroupment.
Look at that. That's Francis de Gier also trying their level best to limit the damage here. And there's a number of options. Pick whichever one you fancy. Sagan decides to leave everyone else to the other side of that road, and now he's latched on. And he's behind Van Kiersbult, with Terpstra also very much part of proceedings. 7.5 remaining.
This is a very good group for Terpstra, as we said before, one of the favourites for this race, a very good time trialist. And obviously with 3 riders now in the front group for Omega Pharma Quickstep, the pressure is on them. So is the pressure in the front of the peloton. The next group behind, they're led by the red jerseys of Katusha. We know that the rider who finished 3rd last year, and a man that's already been in form this year of Kritsov, is in this group behind. But who is going to bring him back? Is it Jan Barta, the road race champion here for Netap Endura?
The Czech champion reaching out, and in so doing he's also helping out the likes of Sasha Modolo and indeed Kritsov and his Katusha boys. Oh my goodness, 7 kilometres to go, and we look deeper into the pack, and Kittel has managed to relay himself, inject a little bit of pace, but it's all too late perhaps, because look at this, with 1 climb to go, 6.9. Sagan's capable, more than capable, of delivering this, and it's been a counterpunch by him to everybody else. Would it be a knockout? We're going to find out right now. He says, come on, do some work. Nobody wants to pick it up.
He looks in great form there, and it was Kritsov that tried to go across this gap. Just as we say that, Van Kiersbult looks to be dropped out the back of this front group. So is Jay Thompson. He's gone. Jerome comes to the front. Finetto still in there, but Peter Sagan looks in awesome form. He did look in awesome form on E3, and obviously in Gent-Wevelgem, where he finished 3rd, but he does look as if he is the man on form at this moment.
Yeah, he's not throwing a whitey. He's got some sunblock on. It's been bright and breezy today, or maybe, as the Germans say, walk away from a man whose face goes white.
Luke Durprich tries to do it, come across this gap. They realise the danger. Arnold Demar is on the wheel. These are the guys that have missed out. Omega Pharma and Cannondale have done it all in that last climb of the Eichenmol, and put the cat amongst the pigeons. And now Demar, one of the favourites for today's stage, with Luke Durprich trying to come across this gap, but I think it might be too late.
It's damage limitation for them. Arnaud Demar would probably have been a major feature if it was a bunch sprint, but it's been anything but because of this climb, and indeed the wiles and cleverness of Peter Sagan, who just went at an obvious pinch point that everyone has seen before, but he made sure he had the power and indeed the teammates around him to get him to that point. He stayed fresh, and he has gone off the nose, albeit with some friends, I think you might say. They'll be the worst of enemies by the end of this lot, by the end of this. 5.5 to go. We're on our final climb right now. Trying to bridge is Arnaud Demar. Kritsov for Katusha. You'll see the red and white come across the line a little bit later, but will he be where it matters at the business end? Kittel, well, probably counted out of this, I'd say, because of the antics of Sagan. 5.2 to go. We're nearly done with the climbing.
I tell you what, Durbridge and Demar are slowly coming across this gap, and Durbridge a very strong time trialist. Demar obviously a very fast finisher, finishing second in Ghent-Wevelgem recently, so obviously on form, and it does look as if they could possibly make it. Another 3 riders coming to the bottom of this, another 3 riders trying to come across, but the action is all on.
It's rolling all over the place. If Durbridge makes it over, it'll be damage limitation for him. Well, here we are, and that is Julien Vermont looking, well, like he's had a very, very tough day, as we all have. The man who looks just least concerned, Peter Sagan, hasn't even opened his mouth to take a breath yet. He is he's looking as if he's looking down the sights of a barrel, and everybody, including us when we look back at him, is on the end of his thoughts. Well, we'll be the last thought for him, I'm sure, today. He is thinking about the line. He's thinking about teeing himself up beautifully. We know he's got pace. We know he's got strength. Is there anyone here who could possibly have the bettering of him today?
Well, it doesn't look likely, but this is a good move for Omega Pharma Quick-Step, although we have Julien Vermont trying to come across there, but they do have 3 riders in this front group, and we do have Niki Terpstra, the rider at the front, very good time trialist. So thinking of the overall, which Omega Pharma Quick-Step would you know, have to think of, it's looking good for them at this moment in time. For this stage, Peter Sagan looks the fastest here. Durbridge and Demar struggling to come across that last 5-10 seconds, but it's going to take a lot of the sprint proneness out of these riders' legs if they do get across.
This is damage limitation, particularly for Durbridge. He's not going to be thinking about the sprint. He's going to think about just getting a similar time to these guys and then leaving it until the time trial later on. Terpstra, likewise, he's in a happy place if he sticks with Peter Sagan here, because he's essentially neutralising Sagan, because he's going to use the time trial at the end of these 3 days of Japan to actually take the victory, if he can just keep in a similar time. However, today and tomorrow, there are 10, 6 and 4 for the first 3 places across the line. That's seconds bonus. Sagan is going for a 10-second bonus. He needs the cushion when it comes to the time trial.
Well, he's just looking at possibly winning this stage. As we said, this is kind of mini Tour of Flanders, up and down pretty much all day, so he wants to try and win this stage like he did last year, albeit in different conditions. So a very small group who's going to come to the finish. I think it's just going to be, I think these two are just going to run out of kilometres to try and get up there. This is Demar at the front in the blue for France de the and Luke Durbridge just behind, giving 100%, but not eating into this advantage of the riders in front.
2.7 to go, and there's some real quality here. Finetto's look very, very good, but, well, in this company, is he good enough?
Well, we're going to have to wait and see, but the riders at the front, Van Kersbroek is just coming to do his turn. Coming up to 2 kilometres to go. Terpstra is riding. He's just thinking of the overall in a couple of days' time. But Steegmans is the only rider that's sitting back for Omega Pharma Quick-Step. He is trying to think of the sprint finish. How can he outwit and outsmart Peter Sagan? It's going to be difficult. He's already won 3 seconds time bonus in the first sprint of the day, but I think it's too late for this bunch and the riders in between.
1.8 kilometres to go. The only way Steegmans is going to make this is with a straight run, and with a nasty turn at 350 metres to go. I think he needs to be alone by that point, and I don't think Steegmans is going to have the run into the line that he hopes for. Sagan looks like the favourite right now. Demar surely putting in too much to try and bridge over right now, along with Luke Durbridge, who started off the clawback, but looks like he may well have run out of steam. And poor old Demar, amongst the favourites at the start of today, for today's stage, looks like he's had a deficit, and he's not going to get back, not with the Flamme Rouge beckoning right now.
Well, this is a run down to the finish, and it's Van Kersbroek leading the way. No one else is going to come up to about this 11-man breakaway. The rider towards the back is for Omega Pharma Quick-Step is Niki Terpstra. He's just thinking of gaining time and everybody else. So with 1 kilometre to go, the winner is going to come from this front group, and you'd put your money on Peter Sagan.
You would put your money on Panne Sagan, but do not count out here at Steegmans, who will probably try and go long, but long is something they haven't got. There he is, that's Sagan in P2 at the moment, and they're mustering. So are Omega Pharma Quickstep in the black. And indeed, Wanty Gobert probably classed out of this one. Sagan nips over, takes this left-hander. It's the right-hander, don't forget, with 350 metres to go, and Steegmans had to go long, and is he picking it up right now?
No, Sterpser comes through to the front, but Sagan is sitting in the second wheel and just waiting for the riders to come round this final corner, line themselves up for the sprint, but Steegmans is still sitting too far back.
Finetto takes the 350 marker. He's looked lively all day, but has he got the beating of someone like Sagan? Sagan cracks it up right now. He's going to find another gear, surely. They're going to spread across the line, and Sagan hits it. The afterburners are on. Sagan's running for this one. Oh, he's going to hit the line, but he's going to have company as well. Oh, and he eases up right at the very last, and I believe hands the victory over to his teammate. Wow, goodness me. Sagan lunged for it, but did he take the line? We'll see. Believe he did, but had he done enough? Well, it would have been a masterful piece of devilment. They race on. That's Kittel just leading the pack home alongside of Alexander Kristoff. We're going to have to wait until the official results. Well, one thing is for sure, Peter Sagan is well and truly to the fore. The finish line was just, they just disappeared out the bottom of our screen, unfortunately. And there we are. Little bit of taps upon the shoulder, and I believe it was Gatto that came through and nicked it myself. But we'll see. Did Sagan just ease up knowing Gatto was there? He's that kind of guy. He's done it before. Then again, he hates second places, and he could have done with a 10-second bonus. It's between Gatto and Sagan at the line. He was his wingman, who may well have just stolen the glory.
Yeah, it did look for me, as we see Matt Haven just finished here with Ben King. A win for Peter Sagan. It'd be interesting to see who got second. I think Gatto was up there with the top spot Vlaanderen rider, but for me, the fastest sprinter, strongest man in the race today won, and that's the man, the Slovakian champion, won the first stage of today's stage.
What a man. I think they got 1 and 2 anyway, which probably...
The first stage of Panne, sorry. But,
well, 4 elements to it, 3 days of racing, 2 stagelets on Thursday. Today it was all about the sprinters, though. Let's check it out.
Well, it's Finetto that led it out here. Sagan, perfect position, just second wheel. Van Bilsen it was for top spot Vlaanderen. Gatto comes up the inside.
Sagan was looking for him as well.
Touches him, but Sagan just now puts the pressure on. He just looks to the left, sees Gatto coming, eases up ever so slightly, but he just had enough. I think he just had enough, but Sagan wins from Gatto in second place for me, but Van Bilsen there in third place. So a 1-2 for the Cannondale team, but Peter Sagan was trying to give it to Gatto.
He was. I thought he'd actually managed it, but no. Sagan being a gentleman to his friend. In fact, he was looking for him with 150 metres to go. You saw him look over his left-hand shoulder, saw him coming, said, "Come on, about now." Well, they say there are no gifts in cycling, and Peter Sagan tried to hand one over to Oscar Gatto, but he left it, well, about a split second too late. Here's the up front. There he is. Come on, if you're going to take it, come and take it. I'm going to wait for you. Then he sits up, but he's got so much power in the push to the line. He'd have had to dab the brakes. And he did. He did dab the brakes. A little squeeze on the left-hand side. Gatto thought he'd got it, so did I. But the wise head on Brian Smith called it absolutely correctly. Even with a squeeze of the brakes. Spool your tape back. Have a look. You'll see.
Again, we're looking from the obviously the TV camera position, so we'll just have to kind of wait on the side-on position to confirm this. So, but provisional. Sagan from Gatto, but obviously Peter Sagan was trying to give it to Gatto, so we'll just wait on the confirmation of that. A few people saying Sagan, a few people saying Gatto. I think it's similar here in this commentary box.
Yeah,
but,
well, I'm almost certain you're right, Brian, that he failed to hand it over, but just watch, if you get to see a slow-mo, watch Sagan's left hand. He squeezes the brakes at the line.
The two of them are coming up.
They're still talking about it. So are we. One thing is beyond doubt, however, and that is Sagan is in masterful form at the moment. He carries it on from the Harelbeke. Here's the line.
But we're slightly to the right.
We're slightly to the right.
I think Peter
No,
Sagan's
he's
got it.
definitely, yeah. No doubt in my mind. So there we are. Despite trying to hand it over, Sagan takes the win and is our leader in this, the Drie Da's of the Panne.
And looking at the riders that were in that front group, Nicky Terpstra has put himself in a perfect position now. He just has to keep out of trouble with the next two stages and do well in the time trial, and the overall victory could be his here.
I think you're right, Brian. Great racing, though. Fabulous. And here is our finishing order. Peter Sagan took it from Oscar Gallo despite trying to hand it over to his Cannondale teammate. Van Bilsen gets a fantastic result ahead of Hert Stiegmans, who was on rails but unfortunately ran out of track. De Vries in 5th place ahead of Finetto, who started off the charge for the line there and looked lively and likely to do so. So our leader, courtesy of his bonuses, is Peter Sagan. Kind of used to saying that for such a young man. And there is our winner.
Ja, bij Peter Sagan, die niet kan geloven dat hij gewonnen heeft. Dat was het eerste wat hij zei toen hij binnenkwam. Peter Sagan, hai vinto, è la verità.
No, io voglio vedere photo finish perché secondo me ha vinto Oscar.
Congratulations on your amazing finish.
Sicuro,
he says, yeah, well,
Oscar mi dispiace, non hai vinto.
I need to wait the photo finish, to be honest. He said he still doesn't want to claim victory. I think it was close.
È comunque che la squadra abbia vinto ed è quello che interessa
Gatto, yeah.
di più poi che
Great
sia io
squad.
che sia Peter.
We have a lovely team here, and of course teamwork is what we were trying to display at the end.
Bene, però
whether it's me or Peter, it's not important, he said.
Oscar oggi perché abbiamo detto che facciamo
Well,
per lui.
for me, Oscar won. He's still looking at it. He's looking at the pictures that we're seeing right now. He said he deserved to win the stage nonetheless, but well, he could have done with another meter. No, he didn't. There's the picture. He said he thought he won, but now not.
Troppo nel Gent-Wevelgem. È una storia vecchissimo. Anderson e Van der Aarden.
Non so questa storia.
Well, there you are. There's no other stories. He's telling me what the stories were about some other riders, but he doesn't want to engage into it. This is Oscar, how's your form?
È un po' di sicurezza in più, quella che comunque ho trovato oggi. Perché finora ho avuto parecchia sfortuna.
Well, in the final, it was you had to be lucky on a day like today. Today it was very, very good. We had some good fortune out there, and we had some luck getting in the right break at the right time and good planning. And there's the official photo finish. So unfortunately, you have not taken it. He says, not a problem. It's about the team. Happy for the team. And yeah, we look forward to Sunday. It bodes well for Sunday. Naturally for the Tour of Flanders on Sunday, which you'll be able to see live here on Eurosport. Myself and Sean Kelly will be the men trying to put the chips down and watching these guys as they go for it. Looking forward to that. Hope you are too. Glorious part of the world. We've had some lovely weather today. We hope it stays with us. A piece of class, I think you might say. A big piece. His name is Sagan. It goes on tomorrow. We're going to Koksijde. We're heading for the coast. Let's hope the wind don't blow, because there'll be some even bigger gaps out that. Sagan is our leader. He has a 4 seconds advantage on his teammate Oscar Gallo, courtesy of the success at the line. Don't forget, Tour of Flanders, cannot wait. Sunday from 12:30 live, that's 11:30 AM in the UK. There's a lot of cycling here on Eurosport. We love it.